Hello everyone, welcome back to Guvna Rides. Today we're back on the Triumph, the T120 Icon Edition. What I'm going to do is a little wrap up of some of the things that I've done to the bike and also my ongoing thoughts about the bike as well. Hope you enjoyed the video, appreciate you coming along. Coming up right after this. So there she is. Unfortunately, I'd prefer it to be on the road, but the way my hand still is at the moment, it's not possible. Hopefully in a few weeks I can get back to riding again. But if you're new to my channel, I'll tell you a little bit about this bike. It's a 2025 Triumph T120 Icon Edition. This beautiful, beautiful logo here. And then of course, that right there with the nice black grey with gold pinstripe down the tank, which is absolutely gorgeous. You might hear cars going by. We live on a main road. So I've done some things to it. I've got a quad lock here, which I actually haven't used since I put it on. Triumph customized handlebar clamp there. That as well, and of course the bar end mirrors, and I've done the dark marlin screen mainly just to keep the high winds off of the quad lock. And I'm not 100% confident in the waterproof capabilities of any electronic device, so that helps maybe divert the rain a little bit. I did some fairly recent rain riding, and it did keep the water away from the handlebars right there. So I think that will do its job. Just for fun, I put the tax disc on that I had on my Gold Line Black. And I have, as you may notice, gone back to the black Burley brand Voyager bags. These are really nice bags. I will do a separate video on these. I did one on the brown ones a couple of years ago, but I wasn't really pleased with the location. I did the review, so getting eaten by mosquitoes here. So I'll redo one. I've also got a tank bag that goes with that. What I would like to talk about is these Michelin Road Classics that are on this particular year of the Triumph T120. Previous to this, they had the Pirelli Phantoms. They weren't that good, I found, personally, just me. They were a bit wiggly, but these, and now that they've broken in a little bit, they are absolutely rock solid. I love riding on them. I can get a little down and dirty with them. They seem to enjoy cornering way, way better than the Pirellis did. They're also very, very good in the wet too. I had no issues. Obviously, you moderate your riding in the rain, and I found I wasn't having to do too much. Just being your normal caution when you're riding in the rain. And they worked out just great. So I'm pleased with that. Now also what I wanted to share with you is the USB ports or charging ports that we have on this bike, which is, you've got one extra than we had before. So what we've got here is a USB charging port, which just clips in there with a waterproof cover over it. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I wish Triumph would come up with a way of putting this up the front end, because most of our work with electronics is all done up the front. And, you know, running cables down here and all that is a little bit of a pain in the backside, but, you know, we'll live with it. But if you could discreetly tuck one maybe down here in the fork somewhere, and that's just my opinion, you might be quite happy with this, but when I'm riding, there's nothing that I would have on me that would plug into this or need to plug into this right here, sitting here. So it's kind of a wasted opportunity, I think. I don't know if I'll ever change it, but that's just my feeling. Now on this one, which I didn't have on the 22, was this battery charging point where you can plug in you can plug in your battery minder. And I'm curious about this because I actually wondered if maybe my Triumph dealer put this on as a courtesy, or do you have one on yours? If you have this model for 25, let me know. I'll be interested. It's definitely handy to have because I've already had this on charge because I've not been able to ride it recently. So that does work out pretty well. Although there's not really much else you can do with this down here, to be honest, other than put a battery tender on it. So you've got those two charging things, which I think are pretty handy. So with the burley bags, what I do is they're just thrown over. I just adjusted the laces. And then I've got these Motone pannier rails. I got the chrome ones actually, and they just Velcro. There's a couple of little Velcro fasteners right there. So that's it. They're on and they come off really easy, which I like that too. So if you want to come over to this side, I promised this in a previous video, never got around to doing it, showing the signature of the person that did the pinstriping. So I kind of like that. It's a nice little touch. There is one thing I do wish, and that's that Triumph would actually put a rail around here. It's not really a big deal for me. I don't have any intention of putting a backrest here. I might add a rack later on, who knows, but if you want to add this rail, it's not cheap, and you'd have to go to a Triumph website to find out how much that costs. But if you want to do that, and then a whole bunch of other things, the backrest, the rack and all that, that can run up into the 600-700s or close to it. So keep that in mind too. If you're looking at buying one of these and you want to put a backrest on, it doesn't come with one as standard. I also have to mention the grips. I got the brown grips. I got these from Triumph Waukesha, and I've had these on every Bonneville version that I've had. I like them. They're nice and soft and a little bit squishy, and they're much better than the stock ones that were really hard, and you felt the bumps pretty good on the stock grips. So it's nice to have those. They got a little Triumph logo right there. So kind of nice. Well, the first thing I wanted to touch on is the British Customs Predator 2.0 pipes that I put on probably about a month, 6 weeks ago, somewhere like that. Unfortunately, I haven't really done much in the way of riding because, as I've mentioned before, I've had really bad hand issues, so I can't really grab a hold of brake if I need to, or twist the throttle too much. But I have been out and had a listen to the pipes, used them a few times, and they're really starting to burn in a little bit actually. So the note has changed slightly. It's got a little deeper, a little more raspier as well. So if you do go with these pipes, just remember that they will break in, I guess is the right way to say it. The bike itself has had a good clean. I did a wash video recently. But let me share some things about the bike that I've really come to love about Triumph Bonneville T120s. First of all, the riding stance, which I think is extremely comfortable. I had some issues before, but I adjusted the handlebars a little bit to give me a nice riding position so I can do that. So it's a little bit more comfortable for me. I added the screen, you've already seen that. The bike itself is just super comfortable to ride. So I went from a 2022 Goldline Black, and I went to the Speedmaster for a while, and then was missing the T120, so I thought I'd come back to this. It really is a lovely bike to ride. What I love about it most of all is that kind of classic retro look. So what Triumph means to me is, when I was a lad, there was a friend of mine. He later became a friend. I didn't know him really well at that time. He had a Triumph, and he had a girlfriend just up the road from me on the Grove, and he would come and visit her pretty much every evening. And I would hear his bike coming and going. I just loved the sound of it, and I used to watch him ride by the house. I think, oh, one day that bike for me. He was a few years older than I am. And then I used to dream as a lad riding the bus into work, into Peterborough, but the bus would break down and we'd all have to get off the bus, and waiting for me right there was a shiny Triumph that I would ride to work. Things you think about when you're a young lad, you know, and Triumph, that's all I was interested in. But I never owned one. I owned other bikes. It wasn't until much later, actually, when I came to the US and I was in a position to really look at Triumphs, that I decided to go ahead and buy one. So that's my little story on Triumph, and there is a very strong British motorcycle community and cult, if you like, I don't know what you want to call it, in the US, which is fun to be a part of. It's fun it's fun to see, which some of these guys are riding British motorcycles way back 60s and 70s, and they were imported over here, and many of them are in excellent condition still, having been fully restored. So it's really nice to see that. So that's my connection with Triumph, and it will always be there. So all that remains for me to say is thank you very much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We like it when you subscribe, and we certainly like it when you hit that notification bell. That tells you every time we have a video up. I've got 850 subscribers, which is just amazing considering we're such a small channel, but I don't always get 850 views. So please, 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 if you think about it, just hit the notification bell. That way you get to see when we post a video, and that really helps our channel. So we appreciate the likes, we appreciate you subscribing, but as always, we appreciate you. Thanks very much. Take care, and if you ride, ride well.